Hello there. It's about that time, isn't it, for my weekly lives. Thank you very much if you do follow my content and actually act on it. I'd love to hear from you. On occasion, I do get some DMs, which are always pleasing to see, including topic ideas. So there's one I'm circulating at the moment. I'm awaiting a bit more information before I deliver on that. Thank you if you're watching me. I appreciate you during this live. So let's get into it. The topic today is, do you feel confused but restless? And I'll explain as I progress this discussion. Basically, you might be feeling a sense of discomfort with old patterns, and it's understanding that these patterns may have been with you for a very long time, perhaps developed out of things you were told that weren't necessarily true, ways of coping in difficult situations or circumstances that you tend to default to, but anything that isn't really serving you right now, anything that's not giving you what you need or is hindering your growth or development or even your deeper understanding of self. So this will be, for most of you, I would hope, and particularly the women that I talk to, a place to look if you're wondering why nothing ever sticks and how you can break through from stagnation. And I'll also share what to do about it, so do stay with me to the end. So, as you may or may not know, part of my certification as a coach is in the wellness area. So I tend to have a holistic approach to working with my clients. And it's working with your patterning on an emotional, mental and spiritual level. And I do sometimes talk about the financial aspect as well and touch upon relational aspects, because these all do have an impact on your wellness, and taking into account whatever conditioning, survival mechanisms, coping, ways of coping and addictions that may show up for you, that are basically ways that you could be self-sabotaging yourself and getting in the way, creating obstacles or challenges in what is wanting, what is desirable. And the only way to know that is by taking a closer look at your outcomes, your results, because they tell a story, and you'll hopefully will have a sense of how they're connected if you've been following me for some time and watching my content for some time, and perhaps taking some inspiration to work on the things that I'm suggesting. So, whilst I say it's taking a holistic approach, it's helping you to build an awareness of the states of being that are driving your decisions and choices. More often than not, these are hidden forces operating unconsciously. And if you're getting any insights, any takes from what I'm sharing, and you decide to look inwards, you might see for yourself the ways it's playing out for you personally. I'll try at times to interject with personal experiences. So if there's any relevance in what I'm sharing, I hope you use it as fuel, fire for your internal changes and ways of seeing for yourself what is right and true for you. Because the fact is, you simply cannot change what you're not aware of. So the work I'm inviting you to do is to develop your self-awareness, self-leadership, taking responsibility and accountability, and understanding your part in the thing, so that that muscle is cultivated in a way where you take yourself off of autopilot. So as I talk, think about your BS, your belief systems, because a lot of which they're having a big impact in the ways that you're showing up that may not be serving you. So when you bring what is unconscious to conscious, you can then take a closer look at it and then gain some clarity, either working with myself or using some of what I've shared in previous content as a means to work with what you're aware of right now. Because it does take time, it does take patience, compassion and kindness of self for you to work through whatever's coming up for you. So analysing how you react or respond to challenges or difficulties arising out of events, situations and circumstances is key. So it's getting your eyes on the situations that you're beginning to have a sense of commonality, because the common denominator is you. Like it or not, you're the common denominator. And when you start to discover for yourself a pattern, it's ongoing, and it feels like you can't break out of it. It's like a stagnation, you're stuck or you're stopped. It's taking the courage to deeply understand and analyse the ways of being that are impacting you in ways that make you feel like you can't change. Because the chances are you are playing out patterns of behaviours that are self-sabotaging. So the invitation is always to take a closer look at the behaviours, most of which are likely to be fear-based or out of some form of insecurity. Because these are normal. It is normal to doubt yourself. It is normal to have ideas about the way things should be, but in reality, not acknowledging that is not necessarily true, because you're not challenging yourself in ways that says, hang on a minute, is this my best interest? Do I understand the effects? Because I've mentioned previously, be at the cause rather than effect. It's understanding what impact your choices, your decisions are making on self and others. Because more often than not, we react, but we don't pay attention. We don't think about the other side of the coin, because there's two sides of the coin. So I've mentioned this on previous lives, so I'll mention it again. Take a look at your life as a demonstration of your decisions and choices, and also what you currently value, because these are all indicators. And I'm going to also mention the definition of power, the ability to do something, act in a particular way, especially as a quality or faculty. Most women act like they do not have the ability to do something about their problems or about their challenges, and willingly give their power away to others through seeking validation or worth through others. So you could be doing things as a means of feeling needed or being seen, or being seen of worthy, but in actual fact it's working against you. A clear example I would invite you to look at is people-pleasing behaviour, because I know that was something that showed up for me, I would say a couple of years ago, and this was through some mindful-based training that I took as part of a coaching offering, a group offering. And for me, it was insight into the circumstances, events, situations, or the triggers that were going on inside of me that caused me to make decisions, often out of fear, believing that I was obliged to do something or to meet an expectation which wasn't actually mine to fulfill. So I wasn't honouring my no. I was acquiescing, and at a certain point it became clear to me it could not continue, because there was a heavy cost in doing so. So internally I was hearing the whispers of no, but I could hear myself saying yes, because I was automatically doing so without much thought or consideration to what it meant, and also what I was giving up in doing so. And when I talk about resources, they're not just financial, they're time which you can't get back, energy, which I coach around significantly because of the impact it has on your ability to pursue meaningful and purposeful goals and to meet your own needs. If your energy is busily being taken up by things that are actually not for you, it is a place to look. And if you're stuck in those cycles where you're giving away your power and you're powerless, this is what I'm talking about when you seek validation and acceptance and worth through others, because you're also giving them the power to starve you. And this is speaking from personal experience from some of the pain I experienced when I did so, and I didn't get the outcome or result I was expecting. And acknowledging my part in the dynamic was an important turning point for me to discover for myself something needed to be changed within me, but not only that, transformed, which I'll go on to later, because this is the kind of work that will be insight into protecting what matters most. So you're operating in your best interests. You can't do that if you're not aware of how these things play out for you. Because I really want to get you into a position where you're reclaiming your time, your truth, from a place of integrity and authenticity, so you know who you are, where you are, and where you are going. Because if you do not know, you will be told those things because you're disconnected from self. You're not operating from a place of wholeness or fullness, because you're not doing the things that actually lights you up, that you're actually defaulting to things that drain your energetic life force and will cause you to stagnate. So this is probably the part where I'll go into what does stagnation mean. The state of not flowing or moving. Flowing is very feminine. Moving is more of a masculine. We're not talking about sex here. It's not gender specific. Femininity and masculinity. Masculine is taking action. Feminine is more big, it's more imaginative, it's more creative. And also stagnation will mean lack of activity, growth or development. This should tie into what I said earlier. If you do not have the energy to pursue your goals, the chances are it's because you're fulfilling somebody else's, either on an unconscious level or a conscious level, and it's getting underneath what is the emotions, what's driving that decision making. So at this point, I'm going to invite you to watch the live that I did a few weeks ago on critical thinking and applying critical thinking, logic and reasoning to your decision making. So in other words, a situation where something stays the same and does not grow and develop. A great point to reiterate, because I've said it so many times and I don't think it does any harm to say it again. Definition of insanity: always doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And a clue would be the old patterns, the unhealthy ways of coping, survival mechanism, really identifying those for yourself and using that as change to catapult transformation, because you can't change what you're not aware of. Because the truth is, time keeps on. It ticks on with or without you. And change, whilst it's interesting change, because it's the only constant, the real growth takes place when you transform. So I'm going to go into what does personal transformation mean. It's a process of changing who you are and becoming the person you want to be, or who you really are on the inside. Because I spoke earlier about knowing your truth, knowing who you are, operating with integrity and being authentic. And it's internal work, not external, because most women would focus on the external, and that is okay. But have you ever questioned when you've done things like maybe bought yourself a nice dress, maybe changed your hairstyle, maybe got yourself a new job? I'm trying to think what else you could possibly do that's external. Go take yourself off on holidays. Those things are great and good, but have you ever looked to see if in doing so, making those external changes, have you ever questioned why those feelings never last? They can be fleeting. You know, when you buy that bag and then after you buy, you buzz when you got the bag, but after you've got the bag, it's kind of like, what's next? Let's move on to the next shiny thing. This is, stuff that I was very guilty of the past, because I was convinced that making myself feel better were through the pursuit of things outside of me. And it wasn't until I started to recognise through a lot of pain that those things weren't working for me, and certainly in the ways that I'd hoped. One of the, I say, many benefits and blessings I got from turning into a certified coach, was really getting an understanding of what I valued, what my standards are, what my requirements are, shoring up my boundaries, enforcing them no matter what. And I wasn't treating them as walls. There were sacred invitations, and actually operating in a healthier way when I noticed certain behaviours that could not continue, and habits that were actually detrimental to my well-being, my wholeness, my fullness, my emotional, spiritual, mental, physical and financial wellness. So I say that a lot, so don't I? Actually, I'm going to go off piste a bit. I hope you're enjoying the beautiful flowers. I'm trying my hand at flower arranging. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. I just try what looks nice, but I hope you like them as you're listening to my voice. I believe it's critical for women to understand, as a collective, we have been conditioned to self-sacrifice in meeting others' needs at the expense of their own. And the ways it manifests when it's ongoing is in the body. Typically things like autoimmune diseases, if ongoing stress, cortisol drives that, and adrenaline too much, sustained over time, and because emotions need to be a process because they're meant to move through you, if they stay stagnant in the body, it can also manifest on a serious note as cancers. It's all disease, because wellness is operating in harmony with the mind, body and soul. And to operate in ease, it's not forced, it's understanding what is for you and aligning and making choices and decisions that are in your best interest, that is flowing your energy, your time, resources and attention to what is wanted, what is more desirable, what is purposeful, what lights you up, what gives you joy, what fulfills you. Because if it's not doing that, it's doing the opposite, it's draining, and it can cause it can cause overwhelm and confusion because you're just not clear and you're not giving yourself spaciousness to identify what that is and how it's showing up for you. And I'm saying it again, so I can't help that. I'm not sorry, actually. This is how I'm talking for right now. Societal expectations have you shamed and guilt-ridden in some ways that will make you feel powerless to make the changes or stay stuck in particular dynamics that's keeping you mindless in meeting the obligations and expectations of others. So getting a view on that is really important, which is why I'm inviting you to work on changing your mind. And as new information, new data, evidence become apparent, which are factual, you will then have the ability to change your mind. This helps you to move away from being stagnant, stuck, disenfranchised, change your mind about people, places and things. I like to think I advocate for that. So what you're talking about, Karen, it could be that you could have people in your world that are repeatedly crossing your boundaries. I mentioned it hasn't been for a while when I really noticed how my boundaries were being crossed, when I was being clear, and having an experience where it was intentionally done. And the reaction was interesting to observe, and I made a decision to no longer participate with that person concerned. And I also realised there were points in time where I offered grace to people where they didn't earn it and it wasn't even required. Sometimes you could be allowing people having access to you that are actually disrespectful, and that was also something that I worked on. Because it all adds to the energy drain. Also, because I was a former people pleaser, being terrified is seen as harsh or even heartless. And again, I mentioned it earlier, that tug of war between being compassionate and self-abandoning. Are you hearing me on this? So if someone's continually pushing your boundaries and you're saying, you're whispering inside yourself no, but you can hear yourself saying yes. For me, default was I would say yes to anything and anyone, because I thought I had a belief playing out that is what you do, loyalty to the end, not recognising there were people in my space that didn't actually do anything to earn it, or were even operating in ways where they deserved that loyalty. So when I got closer to the truth of my experiences and the imbalances in the relationships that I had that were causing me distress, pain, I chose to operate differently in those relationships because I changed my mind based on the evidence, using critical thinking, logic and reasoning. Because you don't really lose anything when you do that. You think you do, but what you gain is so much more rewarding, I promise you, because you're able to identify and have reciprocal relationships or even alliances or partnerships with people that do get it, and stop worrying about those that don't, because you can't change people. You just can't. There ain't nobody to change but self. So what I'm highlighting here is you have a right to feel safe. It's your birthright, and to protect what matters. And it does take paying attention deeply to what is going on inside of you, taking inventory, taking stock, analysing your old patterning, being aware of conditioning, programming that could be in play. I would say a place to look is religious programming, and to work on your emotions and intuition, your thoughts and attitudes. I mentioned your BS, your belief systems, going back over those and recognising which ones could be playing out for you, so that you are tuning in to self. It's an inner game, not an outer game. It's an inner game, because more often than not, you cannot change external things. You can't change people. There are some things that happen outside of your control. So we stick to what is within, some call the locus of our control, your thoughts, behaviours, habits, your ways of being. That's all within your control, and the best use of your time, energy, attention and intention. So I'm going to give you something to help support bridging the belief gap. It does take time, it takes patience and kindness. You're not going to get it right straight away. You won't notice the change straight away, because habits do take 66 days, I believe, to form. You start where you are. I recommend rehearsing what I'm going to share with you in the morning and at night. Treat it as bookends to the day, the start of the day, where you're nurturing and nourishing yourself and your positive internal dialogue for fuel. And at the end of the day, when hopefully you're doing what you need to relax, and rest, and to reset your mind from the events of the day. If you do not necessarily have journaling practice, I invite you to do so. There is a lot of benefits to writing it out. So I'm going to share some affirmations, 3. Every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. I love and appreciate myself just as I am. I enjoy relaxing and having fun. If these don't feel good for you, let it be okay. If it, I'm trying to think this. Oh God, I did this last live. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. That's it. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. I think I did a short video on that. It's on YouTube, by the way. If it doesn't feel good to you, those, by all means, create your own. I won't stop you. But I'm just going to share some tips in doing so. To say what you want, not what you don't want. Say it in the present moment. Short and clear statements that present a clear feeling. Like I said, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. Only choose what feels right and true for you. Also a reminder, self-care. Self-care. I don't really focus on this so much because for me, I've moved on. But in my offerings to working with clients, it's important you work on diminishing stress and anxiety as you make changes, because these will arise, and that's okay. We work to build ourselves from the ground up with stable and sustainable foundations. So I can teach you the ways in which to strengthen yourself physically, mentally, emotionally and spiritually. I invite you to book a consultation for personalised approach. And I would also reference the videos on thinking styles, because that could be a way of where you're stagnated to start. It could be addressing your thinking styles, which is different from BS, the belief systems. And I would also, lastly, because I'm going to throw a tool in the Daily Habits Support Group, which is a community I'm building for women. And I'll share in there a process. I'm not going to share it here because I give so much away, but there also needs to be understanding of what it takes to do the work, to apply, to make the changes, to move on to transformation. I've explained earlier in video what that means, and hopefully you'll see in my progress and the ways I'm changing, highlighting the things that I've pursued. And I'll give you an example. So I'm sharing what I know works, what I've shared with clients, and also what I model. So, for example, I'm pursuing PVR, I think it's called, because I do community-based work. I volunteer my time. So this is a way of me giving back to the community, being intrinsic, altruism, in other words. So last week I went to the Glasgow City Chambers of Commerce, and I ran a stand there in the morning. So I was speaking to children and parents to encourage, advocate for climate change through the participation of encouraging more people to cycle. I've also become a certified ride leader, and another charity I support, I take out groups on rides, cycle rides, which I lead around Glasgow. Also, another change I made as a result of my transformation and doing more supportive activities to counterbalance some of the unhealthy behaviours that I had. I'm pursuing new hobbies and interests. So I'm going to next month go away for a weekend, a festival. It's women only, and I'm really excited about that. It's a motor biking festival. I'm really excited about that, and there's going to be fancy dress. I'm going to be outdoors. I'm going to be out in the countryside, so I'm exploring a bit more Scotland, because I'm also going on another break with members of my family, which I'm also looking forward to. So I'm doing some staycationing. I'm just giving you some sharings that what's available to you when you make changes and you in ways divest your time away from what's not working and into pursuing different things with no fixed outcome. It doesn't have to look a certain way. We throw ourselves into the experience mindfully and see what happens and see if it's something that we want to build on. In my case, it was becoming a cyclist. I have my own bike, so I get out a lot more when I have time. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'm not sure what the topic's going to be next week. I'll have a think about it. Nothing's inspiring me at the moment. Hope you got value. As I've stated, review the video if you checked in late. That's okay. I've given a tool and a tip on this video for concrete process for change. I'm dropping that into the daily habits group at some point this evening. I invite you to join that and participate. There's stuff in there to get you going whilst you wait for that tool. I'm also going to mention the richness of everyday life. I think that's what it's called. I should really remember what my group's called. But that's, again, women only based community. And in there, there's sharings about mindful based practices. I've got a lot of value in that because it really helped me to address some of my cognitive challenges. This is the mental wellness aspect, and to be more present in my experience so that I can understand better what needed to be changed when I identified certain patterns and ways of being that wasn't serving me. I invite you to join that group and participate if you want. It's very passive. I don't force anybody to do anything they don't want to do in that group either. And if you want to work with me one-on-one so you could go deeper into what is unclear, so I can give you a strategy to go for the things you want. So it'd be a roadmap with I can give you everything I got because I've progressed so much since I started as a coach over 3 years ago. You can have a consultation with me for 30 minutes and then go on to see what program is workable for you and feels good for you. There's a link in my link tree for that. So again, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, thank you for those of you that dropped on to the live. I appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's there. These videos get uploaded there. If you're watching YouTube, thank you for watching. It's nice to get some eyes on my content there. Don't forget to give feedback. If you've got any questions, send me a DM if you've got my contact details.